this is, from what I understand, the stream, forget the stream for a second, the polls are basically kind of closing just about now, right?
Yeah, I think they're starting to close. I think it was for like 3 states at 6 p.m. and then a considerable amount at 7, but they all should be closed by 10.
Well, we'll see how that goes. Mike, you with us now?
Yeah.
Okay. See if we can give us a little more volume. Bill Jacobson. So let me introduce you, gents. Okay. Mike Baron, comic book legend, friend of mine, and a Coleman Nation podcast guest, and of course, like most people who hang out with Ron Coleman on TV, he has been victimized by political correctness.
Hi, guys. Hey, Adam, I see that Tom Sowell painting picture in your background.
Adam Coleman is a man who has created a media empire around being Adam Coleman, and we are, in fact, not related, but it is one of our running jokes because we do almost look like twins. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I've only made it this far because I always name drop you, so that's how it works.
Bill Jacobson, Legal Insurrection, maybe the person who goes furthest back with me on the whole stream. Back when blogging was the thing, for Legal Insurrection, it still is the thing.
I mean, you were our 5th or 6th or 7th follower in 2008. Okay, and I'm not even sure how you knew it. That I started.
That's a good. So yeah, actually, let me start producing a little bit here. This is Legal Insurrection, folks. This is a great website, and Bill has been adding video content as well. Bill's day job, is as a clinical professor at Cornell School of Law, Cornell University Law School, I should say, and election results, House and Senate are good. Maybe we'll use this. I will cover the House and Senate results. So I guess that's going to be the coverage. Okay. That's Legal Insurrection at legalinsurrection.com. And it's for grown-ups, folks. There's no gaming here, no comic books. Oh, Mike Baron, your website. I want to give everyone
baroncomics.com.
baroncomics.com. And it is really a guy who does comic books. Oh, I think I've got one more person.
Graphic novels.
You prefer graphic novels. It is really because I have come to learn through Mike and also through my various nerd friends what that's all about. What a sophisticated medium it is. It can be. It can also suck.
Right.
And I also want to introduce folks to a new personality, and so far they'll be the first one who has not been on my program before. And that is Rob Tennant. Rob Tennant calls himself the Doctor. And Rob is just a guy who happens to be someone who has been a Twitter friend for many, many years. He's an accounting professor on ethics, economic guy. So as we talk about the election and about policy making, that's where Rob's going to come in. And also, he has promised to amuse us. So, I mean, that is one of the things that is required here. And I'm looking now at Jeremy, who is also a 7 o'clock guy, and who I also understand is Jeremy Carl. Jeremy Carl, who came out with Jeremy, your book that caused all that fascinating. You're the guy. You're the racist, right?
I am the racist. I'm going to be offering racist commentary for this evening because I didn't think. Just looking, I was concerned you might not have enough.
Right. So Jeremy wrote a book called The Unprotected Class, and we're going to get to the election stuff. But I do, to the extent that it is physically possible, I'm just going to throw up your Twitter this way. I do think that people should get to see that. So there's the unprotected class, how anti-white racism is tearing America apart. And I will tell you, I am hard-pressed to think of a more relevant topic for this election, because I think, Jeremy, you might agree with me, or you might not, but I do think that this turnout that we're hearing about, which is supposedly substantial and meaningful, it's hard for me not to think that what has gone on in racial discourse in this country is not a large part of it.
No, I think that's absolutely right. Although I think one of the intriguing things about Trump, just as a political figure, is that he's managed to put together this, while he seems to kind of offend the great and the good of every ethnic background, he's actually put together.
I gotta go. I'm on camera right now. I gotta fucking go.
He's actually managed to put together this much bigger multiracial coalition than any. I mean, it looks like. I mean, we'll have to see what the numbers look like. Than any GOP candidate before him. And then I'd say the kind of other interesting thing is, even, and this is why these numbers can be tricky, I'm always loath to believe in the exit polls, but if you do believe them at all, the African-American turnout is down. But to some extent, that actually reflects the fact that a lot of folks are really kind of deciding that, Trump is not Orange Hitler. And so maybe they're not going to go vote for him, but they're not going to vote against him. And so that may end up being really intriguing and powerful for him. But you've also got a lot of very disaffected young white guys out there. So it's a really fascinating mix, and it's going to be fascinating to see kind of what the Trump coalition looks like at the end of the day, and just kind of how he draws from each group.
I think you're right. And speaking of racists, I want to introduce you guys to my friend Malcom Flex, 48, who is an incredibly strapped guy. How you doing, Malcolm? Long time no see.
Oh God, is strapped how the old people say, well hung, or are you just you going somewhere with that one?
Ripped.
I know how this
movie. There we go, man. So how's it going, guys? I'm currently gauging the vulgarity level before I
yeah, well, I don't think we're gonna count Marco for that one. That was not really what was intended, and it's kind of my bad for not for assuming that he was ready for us.
Oh, was I on when that all happened?
Yeah,
man. I was about to say, you really got to make sure that your mic is off before you interface with your Coke dealer. Like I understand we're going to victory line tonight, but come on now.
Now, Mark, also just remember, Mark, whether or not you're on stream, the Lord is always listening to you. You know that,
dude. He knows a lot about me.
Oh, well,
when I was in the hospital, they sent a priest to make me do confession, and I hadn't done confession in 40 years. You know what I got? 10 Hail Marys. The guy didn't even want to hear the stuff I did. I'm like, what are you, a George Soros priest? That's not even fair.
What's the story? How'd they explain that?
He was like, I don't know. He just
10 Hail Marys. I mean,
I was whacked out on fentanyl.
What does that mean? Yeah, what does it mean for us Jews?
Oh, well, so Catholics, we got this great system. You do all the messed up stuff you want, and then you go to confession and you say that you did it and you're sorry, and then you got to do something to atone for it. It's like we have Yom Kippur, but every Sunday.
I got it. You have to say the 10 Hail Marys.
Yes. I mean, other people can say them for you if they want, but it doesn't help you. But usually the penance is way bigger than that. It's like 10 Hail Marys is for chewing gum in church. So yeah, these Soros priests, they're really, really soft on sin these days.
Oh, dang it, man.
Yeah. All right. So I'm hearing a lot of good things. If you're a Trump supporter, I'm going to start poking around looking for news. I want to give Bill Jacobson a chance to give me his snapshot on what he's seeing so far.
Yeah,
There's been a lot less lawfare related stuff than I think a lot of people were anticipated.
Yeah, I mean, there was little problems here and there, nothing that seems to be major. The real issue will be when the avalanche of mail comes in, in Pennsylvania and elsewhere, if there's any issues there. So yeah, I think Republicans are better prepared this time than they were 2020. I don't know what other people feel, but I feel like everything that's being reported is part of a psyop. I don't know what to believe. You have people say, "Oh, Philadelphia, voting is through the roof," and then you have other people say, "No, it's not." I don't know. I mean,
yeah, everything is.
I followed it more closely this year than others. I just feel this whole thing has been, internet manipulation.
Exactly. Everyone is gaming. Everyone is gaming the It was from the old movies. I know that you know that I know that you know that I know that, or from the honeymooners, right? There's this real sense that everyone is trying to psych everybody out. If only we had the New York Times to just tell us the truth and head it to us straight.
What are we doing?
Well,
so I will.
Some real news here.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm sort of looking at these Florida results. So I think, which is the state I've been kind of following most closely. So I think they've kind of released a fair number of the early votes, and Trump is up 3.2, like 4.6%. He'll be winning it by much, much more than that. That's not the interesting thing. What is kind of interesting here is Duval County, which is Jacksonville, and that is a place that people use a lot as a proxy for Georgia. It's sort of demographically similar to Georgia, and it's sort of, at least in presidential years, has consistently been a little bit to the left of Georgia. So that's 50 to 49.1 Harris right now in early voting, but that almost certainly is a pro-Harris bias in this vote, which suggests that Trump, who lost Duval County by 3.8% in 2020, at the same time he was losing Georgia, will probably win Duval County this time. And, it's definitely reading tea leaves by a couple steps, but that's an encouraging number to see for the Trump folks.
Okay, this explains much. I've never done a stream this large. So it makes sense that my co-host was in the bottom row. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you, before we start reporting, we are Kurt Schlichter, who need not be introduced, and he's already drinking.
My sassy little Italian Grignolino.
Andrew Branca, the law
There
of
he is.
self-defense.
I know you.
Hey, Kurt. Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
And-
Good to be here. Been listening in. I think we're going to win. Bottom line. I feel the vibe. Do you feel the vibe?
I hope so.
Absolutely.
And Rob, I'm going to ask you, I kicked Rob out because he signed up for about 37 blocks. So I'll bring him back in when it gets a little bit slower. But Hannah Claire, recently unemployed mistress.
But I'm glad to be back on a male-dominated podcast stream. It's really the best part of politics.
Well,
Are we all going to threaten you to vote for Donald Trump? Because I've seen ads like that.
Well, you're all too dumb to vote for Kamala Harris. You're all bigoted and backwards. So I'm sure this is going to be a great night for all of us.
Well, I'm in touch with my feelings, so I'm going to vote for Kamala. Of course, my feelings are of inadequacy and an affection for other men.
Well, that is her prime demographic.
I am sorry that I interrupted you, Jeremy, but I was rudely keeping people out of the stream that could have been here. I want to go back to your analysis on this, and then people will pipe in. We got a big influx of early, by the way, like I said, everyone can stay as long as he wants. And yes, I do speak the old-fashioned English. I am old. I don't say they. I might get, in fact, kicked off YouTube merely for not saying they, which seems to be an absolute tick that even the most level-headed YouTubers. But I think, Jeremy, not only do you have something substantive to say, but I think you also may have the least amount of time. So I want to hear more of your Florida analysis, please.
Yeah, no, I don't want to interrupt the day drinking energy here too much, because it's sort of it's a kind of nice vibe. But I've been basically daily the last few days on Charlie Kirk's show, kind of crunching numbers with him. One of the ones that we talked about is Duval County again in Florida, and that is early reporting right now. Harris is up 50 to 49 on Trump. The reason why Duval County is interesting is that pollsters have often used it as a proxy for how Georgia votes in presidential elections. It's kind of demographically similar, but just a little bit to the left. That's a county that Trump lost by 3.8% last time. We're now seeing what is almost definitely a demographically more left segment of the electorate. This is male and early than what will be within 0.9% of Harris there. And I expect, just given this and having looked at Florida, that he will end up on top in Duval County. And so that's kind of an encouraging, it's a little bit of a bank shot, but it's an encouraging sign for what we might see in Georgia.
Well, this level of specificity, actually, Jeremy, is really helpful because one of the things I'll never forget, I was working the 2020 election, and there wasn't, I was basically monitoring, I was looking like an old lawyer. That's really what I was doing. There was nothing for me to do there. Not as old as Kurt looks right this second, I have to admit. So I'm watching the results come in, and Florida, oh my gosh, look what's going on in Florida. Trump is absolutely running away with Florida, and everyone's thinking was, well, okay, this is it, right? Florida as a state is not a bellwether anymore. It doesn't teach you anything. Hey, Bill, I actually heard this interesting stuff was going on in Rhode Island. No,
Really? There's
no
something
chance.
interesting going on here.
Not in terms of not politically, huh?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean,
Wasn't Rhode Island supposed to lose a congressional seat if they had accurately taken in the census data?
Oh yeah, miraculously 50,000 people who don't exist here were found, and we saved our second congressional district. I mean, the sick thing of this is the census miscount could be the difference in this election, depending which way some states go. I mean, there are a lot of calculations that show this could be a 1 or 2 or 3 electoral vote race, depending how things break. And that's entirely because the census undercounted red states and overcounted blue states, with one exception. I can't remember what the exception is, but Florida should have at least 2 more congressional districts, 2 more electoral votes, and I think Texas also. And Rhode Island should have 1 less. And I forget what the other blue states were, but Rhode Island, everybody expected we'd be down to 1 congressman, and instead we still have 2.
But 2 of those extraordinary senators.
Yeah, I mean, I wish there was a way to vote out Sheldon Whitehouse. He's up this cycle. I know the person who's running against him. She's great and she's wonderful, but it's Rhode Island. I mean, she's got no chance, I think.
But there is some talk, isn't there, about New Hampshire?
Yeah, well, New Hampshire.
3-3 so far.
Supposedly, 4 or 5 points for Harris, but everybody's saying that it might be very close. And, the problem with New Hampshire is that southern New Hampshire has turned into a suburb of Boston. So you had all the people move from Boston for lower taxes, and better lifestyle, and unfortunately they're bringing their corrupt politics there. So New Hampshire is not what it used to be, but I also do think there was the woman, and I'm forgetting her name, who had the viral video, who's running for Congress in New Hampshire.
Lily Tang. She's awesome.
And I wonder if turnout for her might help Trump in New Hampshire, because she brought a lot of excitement.
Well, I've got an update, folks. With 1% reporting, Donald Trump is at 61% in the Granite State. So you got 1%.
Okay.
And they don't have any mail-in voting there. So New Hampshire's looks like it's going to be clean. Jeremy Kaufman up there is sending very positive dispatches.
So maybe we'll keep an eye on it.
It's supposed to be mixed this year, right? They're expecting there's a chance that Trump will win Maine's second, I believe.
He'll win the second.
But not the other one. No chance. That place is like the frozen tundra of Afghanistan.
When I was growing up in New England, everything was solid blue. I don't really understand what's happening there. As soon as I left, they decided to jump on board with a little bit of Trump enthusiasm.
Well, that's what happens when the Patriots start having
Here's
down
an
seasons,
interesting
man.
one. With 77% of the vote in Miami-Dade, we are up 55-44 Trump on Harris. That's actually an identical margin to what DeSantis had there. Now, I believe that's early vote, and I can tell you the election day vote was not as good as one of these weird counties that, for whatever reason, it's actually better for the Dems on election day. But that's still a very encouraging number. I don't think a Republican president in recent years has ever won Miami-Dade County and lost the election.
So that is, another right, because in other words, Miami, even though Miami-Dade is a presumptively blue.
But DeSantis won it 55-44. Trump has never won it. He came close. He lost it by like 30 against Hillary. And then, he lost it by a much smaller margin against Biden, much, much smaller, like 7 or 8. But now it looks like he's going to win it. And so that would be very positive.
So who's in Miami-Dade? I mean, there are a lot of my fellow Cubans there.
There's a lot of Venezuelans, some kind of
Hondurans too.
well-off white people. But it's a mix, it's like 2.5 million people. I mean, it's a demographic mix of the sort of county that Republicans rarely do well in. And DeSantis kind of broke that spell. And to see Trump up so big early in Miami-Dade, with 77% in, again, that's going to be less by the time election day comes around, because I was monitoring it all day and saw that going down. But it looks like he's still probably going to win it comfortably, and that is a great sign for him getting together a more multi-ethnic coalition, hopefully.
Malcolm, you were saying something. Actually, I think one of us got excited and started talking. Someone was after Hannah said that she was surprised if there was any Republican traction at all in the original colonies.
That's because I was about to say stuff starts getting a little spooky when the Patriots start having losing seasons. So right now it's all up in flux up there.
But that's
where that's going to go.
That's well worth it. So we have a few New Englanders here, right? So we've got Marco. Bill is an adopted New Englander. Hannah. Malcolm, where do you live again?
Deep Red Bama. Can you give it? I was about to say, can you give a guess where we're going?
Well, I mean, we're counting on that.
I had the easiest job. All of y'all are over there in swing states and stuff talking about, well, we got to get out to get people. Well, I'm just kind of like, well, I mean, I guess I'll wake up and go to the polls at 7 a.m. like everybody else or something. And yeah, it's pretty predictable. Bama.
I'm from California. Tell me about it.
You're predictable, you mean?
Yes. I wore my MAGA hat to Trader Joe's yesterday.
Do you have any trouble?
I'm a 220-pound ex-Army infantry officer. They wisely behave like adults.
I hear it's actually pretty good if you're not getting assaulted for wearing a MAGA hat. I'm pretty sure that means that we're winning. The culture war is over, guys. We got it.
All right. Look, I get fly the secret handshake.
Now, by the way, when I finally figured out that there were people who were waiting backstage, I rushed everybody in. I want to welcome Andrew Branca.
Hey
guys.
Andrew is he won't say it, but I can say it. The man on the law of self-defense. His motto: carry a gun so you're hard to kill. Know the law, so you're hard to convict. That's the kind of guy.
I'll say it. I'm the man. It's fine. I don't mind. I don't mind saying it. So I've been on a motorcycle all day. So I have not seen any news about the election all day. I was hoping I would get on and you guys would tell me it's already been called for Trump, but I guess that's too much to hope for.
Well, I will say this much. Everyone, it became a commonplace to say no telling how long this will go. This could be days, even weeks.
Just swang.
What was that?
Yeah, Obama actually just came out and already said it's probably going to take multiple days just to thank your poll workers. So I'm pretty sure they're banking on that.
I think that
the longer it takes, the more it's stolen. That's all that means.
That's the premise. That's right. And that's Obama's move.
There's been a lot of reporting from the other side that's basically saying, oh, well, Republicans made it take longer last time so they could create doubt. I mean, there is a spin going on for sure with questioning election results.
That's the old Marxist trick.
4% in.
Always accuse your opponent of that which you are doing to create confusion.
Right. And that goes back to what we were saying at the very beginning. Everything's a psyop. It's either a psyop or a counter psyop or a double secret psyop.
Picked the wrong day to quit sniffing glue.
A very grim outlook for sure.
Is the real
Trump is now starting to pull away?
Where?
I think the older members of this stream need to stop making 80s movie references that Hannah has no possibility of understanding, even if I'm personally enjoying them.
To be fair, I wouldn't get a movie reference if it came out last year. I'm actually so ignorant when it comes to movies. So don't let me stop you from making all sorts of cultural references.
Project 2025 is going to make movies great again. We're finally going to get that Fast Times at Ridgemont High reboot with Sydney Sweeney.
We are
Just be playing the Sean Penn role.
High arts here. Bill, one of the going back to one of my earlier questions, one of the things that you focus on in your work at Legal Insurrection and Legal Insurrection Foundation is the wide extent to which institutions have become overwhelmed by race-based policy making. Would you agree that what I said, something I said at the beginning was just a couple of us here? I think to a large extent, I don't think it's only white voters. I'd like to hear. I think there are a couple of Afro-Americans on our panel right now. It's not only white people who are sick of this crap. Am I right? I mean, you wrote a whole book about it, Adam.
I hate the term African American. I'm black.
That's my way of making fun of the term.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think for the most part, I think normal people, and I'll include normal black people, don't focus on stuff like this as much as people online present to the world. And so I think
obviously you've had nothing to do with Rutgers University.
Well, they're a special kind of people. I'm like 15 minutes from Rutgers.
We represent Jersey. I want to say hello to Carol Roth. My friend Carol Roth.
I have to say, Ron, I was so excited to see that you were here with Adam Coleman.
I keep hitting remove from stage instead of turning off the solo.
People remove me from the stage all the time. That happens frequently. Yeah.
This is Ron's stream, and that's who it's about.
In fact, there's even a special layout for that. See? Okay. There are lots of little tiny people all along the side, but it's really
this isn't chatterbait. Oh, okay. Never mind. I was trying to tip everybody.
Well, Ron, I just want to say that I'm just here hoping that the patriarchy saves us, because really that's what this is all about. Hopefully toxic masculinity will come out and save us all, because they're the only hope that we have to save America at this point. So very happy to be here.
Well, very happy to have you. The thing about Carol is that she writes these books that are really rigorous. She rigorously demonstrates that everything that we think we're seeing in terms of social and commercial and, yes, and economic phenomena are exactly what they seem to be. Hold it up again. Hold it up again. You will own nothing. And it is a truly depressing spectacle. If Donald Trump becomes president, of course, we will go back to having a president who wants to own everything.
No, I mean, it's very true. I mean, we are at a crossroads here between will we thrive as a country, or will we see people scraping by to survive? And not only is this on a regulatory basis, on a tax basis, on a flexible work basis, but one of the themes that has really been coming up for me today is about optimism versus pessimism. And I think that both of those are very self-fulfilling prophecies. And if you have a candidate that is elected who is going to provide you the optimism that you're going to have less regulation, that you're going to have less that you pay in taxes, if you're going to have more opportunity, then you're going to be able to make those investments of your time and of your spirit in trying to create opportunity, and that is going to propel the country forward. On the other side, if you think you're going to have more